power in that story. And that story of your own can help others just by the way you live.
So welcome to Wisdom on the Front Porch, where no matter where your front porch is, that's where you gain wisdom from. And today here on the podcast, we're going to learn from Anne. So Anne, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you. Well, first of all, let me say thank you for having me on the podcast. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
I'm honored to be here. And yes, my name is Anne CK Nickell. I am an award-winning author, speaker, podcaster, and life coach and book coach. So I do several things, and I love helping women overcome obstacles. And my favorite way to put it is I love helping women go from I didn't sign up for this to I love my life. I love to help them make that transformation. And I love helping writers, especially new writers, figure out how to overcome that overwhelming process of publishing their first book so that they can achieve that just prestige published author status. That's what I love to do.
Awesome. You and I are in the same boat, girl. we are there together.
Yes.
And we're on a party barge. Oh, I love that. I love that. And I am really honored to have you here as my guest. I love that you have so many things that you're doing. A lot of people think entrepreneurship is you can only do one thing. You do that one thing, you do it well, then you can go on to other things. But when you have creative minds, it's so hard not to pursue those. But we can kind of work on that a little bit, but still have our main thing as what we do. Now, what social media sites are you on?
Pretty much, well, not all of them, I guess. Have my website, annecknickell.com. And then everything is related to that. So I'm on Facebook, Anne CK Nickell, Instagram, Anne CK Nickell, LinkedIn. So you can find me in all those places. Nice. And you can also check out my podcast, The Story Shepherd.
Oh, I love that title. Oh, I love that title. That's great.
Thank you.
That's great. Yeah, I'm just myself am just on a few of the social websites because there's getting to be so many. It's like you can't be on everything and still keep up with everything. Well, I guess that's why you get a VA and other things like that. But it's like it gets to be a lot. So try to do the main ones. And yeah, so if somebody's coming to you and says, I've had it. This is just like you said, this isn't the life I signed up for. This isn't what I wanted. This isn't what I expected. I put in 20 or 30 years into doing what I'm doing, and this is all I've got. What's your first suggestion to them?
The first suggestion would be I want them to focus on their passion and their purpose. And I have a lot of women I talk to who are older and think because they are older, they don't have time for that anymore.
Oh,
and that's the first thing I tell them, that if you're still here, you still have time.
I'm a testament to that.
Me too.
Started this at 62. Here I am, 66. And I wasn't really 62 because it's only been 2.5 years. I am 64.
Yeah.
I don't mind saying my age, you only live once, enjoy it.
Exactly. Yep. And that's the whole focus of what I try to teach them is that if you are still here, you still have time. So the first thing is, I love journaling, and that's one thing I love to teach people too. Grab a journal or even a piece of paper, grab a notebook, write down those things that you are passionate about, whether it's a hobby, something that you really, really love to do. If it's a sport, think of those things that you love, then take that and start working on your purpose. Is there a cause that you love? Is there something that, so important to you, maybe because of something you've been through, a parent went through, one of your children went through, and then figure out how to combine those things and do something with it. Follow your passion and your purpose. And sometimes it takes a little bit to turn that into a job or, a business, something you can make money from. but there is that opportunity in more ways
Yeah.
than people realize. So that's what I tell them to do. If you feel like you've had it, well, what can you do different?
Yeah.
That's it. Figure out how you can take that life and make it better. Because like you said, we have one life. We're only here for that one life. How can you make the most of it?
Right, right. Even if you're if you have the belief system that we have several lives, it's like this is the one you're living right now. Make the best of it, you know?
Hmm.
So I have a
Exactly.
question for you. Have you always done this, or was there a starting point for you?
No, I didn't. I've always had the dream. I've wanted to write since I was a kid. I tell
Yeah.
people I've been writing since I could hold a pencil. That
Aw,
has always been my passion. But of course, like with a lot of other people, just as I put it, life happens, because you go through school and then you get married and you get a job and then you have the kids and then all of a sudden, you don't have time for that dream. And
yeah,
you feel like if you were to take time for it, it's either going to take away from your family, it could take away from you making money in your real job that you have at the moment. And that's what I was stuck in.
yeah.
And just going through life. But I always had that dream, and I did work on it. I went to writers conferences, I was constantly
Oh,
taking
wow.
classes, I was learning about publishing, so I was always doing it with the goal of someday getting there. But then I was also in an abusive marriage,
Oh,
which constantly, just along with everything else, dragged me down.
yeah,
And finally I got out of that and I felt free. I'm like, okay, I'm on my own. I can do what I want now. But at the same time, I was on my own, one income now,
yeah.
depending only on me. I'm like, okay, how can I do this? How can I work this? And then a little over a year after the divorce, I almost died and nearly lost my leg.
Oh, oh, oh,
Yes, just weird, strange incident, having an allergic reaction to an antibiotic.
oh my.
Yeah, so I was perfectly healthy except for getting the flu. Took that first antibiotic. I lost feeling in both of my legs from the knees down, and I couldn't walk.
Wow.
And ended up having emergency surgery, finding out that when they ran the CT scan, almost my entire body had filled with blood clots from
Oh
this
my
allergic
goodness.
reaction. Hmm.
Oh
And so when
my.
I thankfully, God blessed me with the first miracle and I survived. And when I woke, the surgeon told me he had never seen anything like that in all of his years of surgery and
Wow.
told me, "You are lucky to be alive." And then he told me the bad news, which was
Mm.
during surgery, my left leg had developed compartment syndrome, and he had to cut it open on either side to relieve the pressure to try to save it. But then told me what I did didn't work. Your leg and foot are dead, and we're preparing to amputate.
Oh wow. That's a big
Yes.
shock.
Yes, big shock. But with my faith, for 2 days while they waited because of what my body had already been through, I laid there in that bed and I prayed. I thanked God for my life and I asked him for one more miracle. And on the third day, my coloring came back and they found a pulse. And my leg and foot had come back to life.
Wow. Isn't that something?
Yep. So I
Isn't
got my other miracle. And so then I went through the whole process of still needing to heal. I still had to learn how to walk again with no feeling in my foot. I had these two huge wounds that took 7 months to heal. I had all
wow.
these things, yes, that I was going through. But even with all of that, one of the worst days I was laying there recuperating, just sitting in this recliner, thinking about everything. And I realized I had almost died without ever accomplishing my biggest dream of being a published author. And that hit me
Wow.
harder than anything, any of the pain, just any of it. I knew at that moment, God had given me a second chance. I needed to do something with that second chance.
Right. Right.
And so within just a few months of, while I was recuperating, I finished and published my very first book.
Wow. Oh, good for you. Good
Yep.
for you.
So
Sorry it
that was
took
it.
that to get you to write, though.
Oh, yes, yes. I should have
Yeah,
done way before that. And so that's when I'm working with people, and part of my speaking, that's some of what I talk about is, how close I came. And so to put yourself in those shoes and realize you don't want to have to get to that point. If there is
right.
something you want to do in this life, do it now. And even if you
Absolutely.
have to do it part-time, working with your job, make time for it. Just go after what is in your heart and what that passion and purpose is. And for me, it's completely changed my life.
I can imagine. I can only imagine. And that's just an incredible story that you have. Um, so you wrote your first book, but a lot of people can write a book and still not be an entrepreneur. So I know there's more to this story. When did you decide to take it a step further?
It was, well, maybe about 6 to 12 months after that. And I had it in my mind. I just didn't know what exactly to do with it besides the writing. But while I was recuperating, I actually stayed with my mom for several months because I needed the care. And
Right.
thankfully, she was a former nurse. So it was
Oh,
great having
nice.
her there. Yes.
Yeah.
And of course, being in a small town, this is up in Iowa, where I was born and raised. And, people around, and they know each other, they help each other. And so her mechanic, who was also a friend, all she had to do was call him, because I told her, once I get better, my car's been sitting. I want to make sure everything's okay
Oh,
with it,
yeah.
for the trip home. So she called him. He came over, got the keys, took it, checked everything out, changed the oil, did all that for me. And when
Wow.
he came back, oh yeah, really nice guy. And when he came back, of course, he sees me laying in this recliner, my leg all wrapped in bandages. And so he asked about my story, what had happened. So I told him all that I shared with you. And he told me after he heard it, he says, God pulls from the pit, not the pulpit.
Oh, wow. Oh, I like
Yes,
that.
it was like, some of the little stars, going off when he
There
said
goes
it.
my sticky notes again. God
Yeah, he
pulls
said,
from the pit, not the
not
pulpit.
the pulpit. And he said, so you have a story and it needs to be shared to help others. And so that stayed with me, but it took a little while. I'm like, okay, how can I use it? So then I started learning about speaking and thinking, okay, how can I get up and speak, to audiences and share this story? And, but I also wanted to expand on that. And then I started studying life coaching because I
Mm,
wanted to be able to help other people, especially women. And not only with what I had gone through with that experience, but the previous experience with, dealing with an emotionally abusive marriage, or getting to that point in life of saying that, how did I get here? This isn't the life I signed up for. What can I do? I wanted to be able to help them with all of that. So I became a certified life coach, became a certified life story transformation coach, and then a therapeutic art coach, and just started
wow.
doing all these different things, trying to find a way to combine what I do with my writing and with journaling, with speaking and the coaching, trying to use all of that in a way to help others. So that's how it ended up expanding.
Wow. Wow. I'm just listening to your story and I've just got this movie playing in my mind and seeing all of these things. And it's like, that's just incredible. And that you would know, somehow know to do all of those things. Uh, wow. Wow. So you have three different type of life coaching. Where does the artwork come into it?
Well, I learned with my poetry book that I just published last year. I was doing some research. Of course, like I said, I love journaling. And, I started doing the adult coloring. It was one thing that I did
Oh,
while I was recuperating.
yeah.
So a friend sent me some of those books because she knew I was just laying there. And, besides doing my my initial business, which I hadn't even
Mhm.
talked about yet,
Okay,
while I was doing
there we
that,
go.
yep, and I was also doing these other things. So I did some research on that, and I discovered that, for one, with my poetry book, by combining poetry, adult coloring, and journaling, those three things together actually can help with mental wellness. They can
Oh,
help with
nice.
memory. Yes, they can help with
Yeah.
memory, mindfulness. It's just an overall good thing for people, for mental health and mental wellness. And so when I did this poetry book, I wanted to do more with it. So that's what I did. I combined the three things. So for every poem in the book, I have an artwork, piece, a coloring page that coincides with it, and then a couple
Nice.
of journaling pages, so that once you read it and you do the coloring, you can then express yourself by writing something of your own or writing
Oh,
about how you're feeling.
that's
So those three
beautiful.
things, yeah, so those three things
Yeah.
can help open that up in a person. So that was my goal with it. And so, yeah, so that's how I kind of figured it out and how I wanted to tie it all in. And so now I've continued just, creating therapeutic art workshops to help people with that, just, by taking something in your life that isn't working, writing it down, ripping it up, and then taking those ripped pieces and turning it into a piece of art
That's
as a way
awesome.
to overcome. They can color those
You've
pages of
already
the
got it.
notebook. Oh yeah, that's what I was working on. I have tissue paper where if they want to write it on colored tissue paper, and
Oh,
then
nice.
tear that, or I give them the little paper cutters. I can't even say what they're called now. The little paper cutters where they the shape of hearts or
Oh, yeah, the
leaves
different
or
scissors, or is
flowers,
it the ones, the
the
punches?
little punches,
Oh,
yeah.
the punches,
And
those are
so, yeah,
fun.
so if you take those pages, you can rip the pages, or let's say you want to create something like a beautiful tree. Well, then you can punch out like little leaves, you can punch out little flowers,
Oh,
and then use that to add to your artwork, so that you're taking the things that aren't good in your life, but you're turning them into something beautiful. You're taking the broken pieces and turning them into something beautiful.
that
And
is,
that's
that is. And I thought with your tissue papers, maybe on just a black and white paper, they can do one line of, you know, I always fail. I don't ever seem to get it right. And then on the tissue papers with the different colors, write down, I am good at doing things, something that's just the
Mhm.
opposite of what it is. I give
Yep.
the best in everything I do, and take those tissues with the different colors and put those on the tree for leaves. So
Yeah.
now they've turned all of this negative stuff into something real positive and something
Positive.
beautiful they can have. Daily affirmations are great. I have my
Oh,
book
yeah.
300 or 35-day journal. And I've never journaled because I always thought journaling was a diary. I didn't understand that that's not what journaling is about. And so when I wrote this journal, 35 days, and somebody says, why 35 days? And it's like, well, because maybe your next book hasn't come at that point, or you've got a little overlap somewhere, or something's going on, or you made a mistake on one page. It's okay, go to the next one, you know. But in there, I have different things, what went right today, and I also have what didn't go right today. Name two things that didn't work. Why didn't they work? Can you do to make it? So when it happens again, what can you do to not do this again? It's a way to work through there because they're not failures. Maybe it's a mistake. Well, you learn from the mistake and you go on. But then I have the pages for journaling and stuff too. So yeah, this is
Love it.
great. I love how you took your poetry and you put in this coloring book and you put in the journaling pages, and just made something really powerful and beautiful out of it. And it's
Thank you.
like, so some guys would probably like that. Some guys probably go, oh, that's too girly, but it's like, you know what? Go make your own journal then and do it for guys. That's
Yeah.
big inspiration. We're here to share wisdom on the front porch with everybody, so take an idea and run with it. But yeah, it's not that we don't care. It's we have so much we want to do, and we need to be able to prioritize what is the
Mhm.
most important for this day. And I think if
Yep.
we try to prioritize, oh, what's the most important for my career, whatever, just take it one day at a time. You don't have to do everything all at once. It's like, here's today. This is what I've got. What are my tasks for today? And then go to the next day. You can do a little planning ahead, but yeah, from there. So I'm doing an awful lot of talking. I'd like to hear more from you. Tell us a little bit more about yourself here.
Well, you've heard the big part of the story. Like I said, I
Yeah.
didn't mention how um, I had I already had a business that I started back in 2016, the year before I got divorced. Was I'd been in real estate, now been in real
Mhm.
estate for 18 years.
Oh, wow.
So trying to subtract, it had been over 10 years at that point. And I was moving around a lot with my ex just because of his job. And
Mhm.
so I decided to take that real estate experience, and the easiest way to explain it is I'm a real estate VA. I help other agents with their businesses.
Okay.
So whether it's, transactions, social media, websites, different things. And that's what I started doing. And I was so glad I had that business when the incident happened, because I was able to still work from my recliner. As long as I had my laptop and I had this, the rolling hospital table that would sit in front of me, my laptop on it, then I
Yeah.
could still work and was still able to run
And
my
go.
business. And so that really, really helped during that time. There's no way I could have gone into a job for months. And, any normal job I would have lost probably during that time. So the
Right.
business really came in handy. And it's also helped starting these other things because, like you were talking about scheduling, I'm able to work around that, so I can work in different tasks for the real estate job, and then I can work in tasks for, I may take an hour to work on a new book, or I may take an hour to work on a program for my life coaching, or, there are things you can do to schedule all of that. Like you said, you can do
Yeah.
it. It's just scheduling becomes really important when you're
Right.
trying to do all
Right.
these things. But it helped me transition into doing the new stuff because I think I had already been doing that and already working at home and, learning how to schedule and do those things. It was very helpful going into the new
Nice.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It would be. Oh, that's great. That's great. So here you are, you're doing what you love. You're proving that you can do what you love and that it's never too late. And this could even be for young people starting out, we all have to start somewhere and go from there. And you need to learn from people like Anne who have gone through the process, see what it's like. And myself too, though Anne's been at it a little longer than I have, which is great because I learned from her too. Um, and yeah, it's just great. So how can they find you? You've got this amazing life. You've been doing your books. How can somebody find you to start their career? To maybe they've started, but things they'd like a little more structure, a little more foundation of what they need. Give them that roadmap or whatever. How do they get a hold of you?
The easiest way is through my website. So annecknickell.com. And they go there, they can, click on the contact me and just
Sure.
let me know what you may need help with, whether it's, wanting to find that passion and purpose. There are some things that I can help them with, some little
Mhm.
quizzes, things like that, to try to find, how their passion can align with the purpose and with doing something in their life. If they want to do some one-on-one coaching, if part of that passion and purpose is to write a book and they have no idea where to start, they can reach out for that too. That's where my heart is, really. I just,
Yeah.
anything to do with story. That's why I named the
Yeah.
podcast The
Me
Story
too.
Shepherd. Yeah, is because I think a lot of things in life revolve around your story and what that story is. And so even when I talk, we do this, do the talks up on stages, I talk a lot about creating your life story movie,
Oh,
because
wow.
yeah, because your life story really is, or your life really is it's a story that you share with others every day, whether or not you want to. That life
That's
is your
true.
story.
Yeah.
Yes, and there's
Yeah.
power in that story. And that story of your own can help others just by the way you live, because that ends
Yes.
up becoming your legacy. And one of the things I love to teach too with that, if this is something that where they feel like I said, that they just aren't there yet, life isn't as they planned, I like to put it this way: don't be an extra in the movie of your life, be the star.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Because
I
I
had to
think
look
that's,
up your website
oh,
when we were talking. It's really nice. It's very clean, very simple. Everything's right there.
oh, thank
It's
you.
just great. Yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah, I like good websites. I'm still learning. But yeah, I like that. Don't be an extra in your own movie. Be the star that you are the star. I mean, it's your
Ex-
movie. You know,
Exactly. And that's
and
where a lot of people get stuck. They are in some way sort of stepping back and allowing someone else to be the hero, someone else to be
yeah,
the heroine, when really it's your movie. Why are you allowing someone else, anyone else, or the world to step in and direct your movie? It's yours.
yeah, yeah.
And yes, things are going to happen.
Hmm.
And, as they do in life. And so I call that plot twists.
There
You
you
know,
go.
the world is going to throw in plot twists. So what are you
That's
going to
right.
do with the plot twist? I've had some major plot twists in life. And, how do you take that plot twist and turn it into something different and use it, but still allow yourself to be the star of your own movie?
Right.
And
Right.
that's what I try to help them with. If you look at it that way, to me, it makes a big difference when you really start thinking about it as, this is my life as a movie, and it's a powerful story that could help others. And this story could leave a legacy, or it will leave a
Mm.
legacy. What legacy do I want to leave?
Right. Yeah. 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 We are leaving legacies, whether we want to or not. We really are.
Hmm.
I can see the passion in it. I can hear it in your voice. It's like, oh man, tell my story. Let's get together and get that done.
Yes, I
Oh,
think we
that's
all should
great.
work on that. Yeah, and whether
Yes.
or not
Yeah.
you're a writer or a speaker, you still have that story. You still have
Oh,
that
yes.
power. And so what do you want to do with it? And sometimes it's little things. Sometimes it's focusing on, like this month is literacy month.
Yes.
And so I'm doing a talk next week at a Rotary Club about combining, the power of your story with literacy. And so really, that goes along with that too. If you want to teach your children and grandchildren and great grandchildren the power of it, show them with your own story, or give them something that makes them want to read it. Journal, talk about your family traditions, your values, and pass that on. And that's what will get them excited and bring the passion to them. So even little things like that can affect things as big as literacy in the world, if you
Right.
focus
Right.
on creating that great story that encourages, inspires others. Exactly. Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's what I try to do with what I talk about or write about, or do in my own podcast, is to inspire others and, to
Yeah.
show them that, like I said, one, it's not too late, or two, that if you do have obstacles, there is a way to overcome and even
Yes.
use them in your life. And so I go back to my own story and, show them, I could have given up, when that doctor said to me, we're going to amputate, I could have given up right then and accepted it,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I chose to pray. I chose to believe that things could be different. And, it may have ended up differently. And I like to believe that if it had, I still would have found a way to use it and, to
Yeah.
then go on. And a lot of it goes back to your mindset and gratitude,
Oh, yes.
being grateful for every single day you have on this earth and not taking anything for granted. And that's one thing it taught me too, that I also try to share is, normally when you get out of bed in the morning, it's not something you think of.
Hmm.
You get up and you just start your day. Well, with what happened to me, every time I get up, I am thankful for the fact that I still have my foot, I still have all of my toes, and that they're there to support me. And it's something I never thought of before, but now
Yes.
I never take it for granted. So it's just a matter of how you think of things in life and starting with one small thing. So if you are
Yeah.
having trouble, if you're not sure where to start with one little thing. I
Yeah.
woke up today. There you go. That's something to be grateful for. The sun
Yeah.
is shining. Yay, I'm grateful for that. I have a job. Maybe it's not the job I love, but it's paying me. Okay, I'm going to be grateful for that until I can do something with my
I
passion.
like what you said right there. I'm going to be grateful for what it is until something else can happen. And I'm going to look for those things. A
Yes.
lot of the things you've been saying is exactly what I've been saying on all of my different podcasts. It's perspective. How are you going to look
Yes.
at it? If you look at it as if it's done, it's over, then it's going to be done or over. What is it that they say? Henry Ford said,
Oh,
if you think, go
if you
ahead.
think you can't, basically.
Yeah,
How
yeah,
did, yeah, now I'm trying to think exactly how he said it, but yeah. Oh, whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right.
that's it. That's it
That's
right
how he
there.
said it. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, because
It's all up here, whatever you think.
yeah, and it's some people will say, yeah, but this is happening to me all the time. And it's like, well, okay, then step back. Take a little different perspective at it. If it's always happening all the time, what can you do different for the
Yep.
next time? And maybe it's just a little thing you do. Maybe somebody's always saying, always knocking you down, and instead of just, taking it, say, well, that's interesting. You see me that way. Do you know I don't see myself that way? Surprise them a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Say something,
Exactly.
that would come from you.
Yeah.
Don't use
And
my words, use yours.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what, I have learned over the years is that same thing. We were talking earlier about taking the negative things that you
Mhm.
think or say to yourself, get a piece of paper, write those things down. And on the other side, write down something that flips it. What can you say instead? So even if you start thinking
Yes.
something, if notice immediately that you're thinking it, and how can I change that thought
And
and
that's
do
how
it
you
right
capture
then.
those thoughts. You
Mm-hmm.
catch yourself saying it, thinking it, whatever, and you
Yep.
say, no, I am not going to keep doing this. I am going to
Yep.
make my life better. Um, yeah, I was reading some affirmations because I wanted to come up with some real good affirmations to put in my book. And I was reading this one page, and it's like they were good, but yet there was still a lot of negativity in it.
Mm.
Like, oh, I think I can do this better. And it's like, well, that's not quite there. It's like, I know I'm getting better every day at this, trying to find different ways to do that. So, yeah,
Yep.
it's, have to make sure that what you're saying still isn't a negative thought. uh,
Yes.
Write it down, and then don't look at it again till the next day or even 2 days later. Then go back and look at it and see if what you wrote down is something that's still negative. Is there a negative connotation to it? Um, sometimes just saying, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can, leave it at that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because that's still getting that goodness there. But if you want to change it later, well, what do you think you can do? And instead of saying, well, I think I can do this, it's like, I see myself doing this. Get
Yes.
that manifestation in with those affirmations. And I agree totally. Being grateful for everything makes such a difference. Such a
Mm-hmm.
difference. If somebody asked me one time, well, they didn't really ask, they just kind of negatively said to me, um, I said, we need to be content with what we have. Oh, you don't need to be content. You're never going to get anywhere with that. And I thought, no, that's not true. Because if
No.
I'm happy where I'm at, then I'm going to be even happier when I get something different. But if I'm negative all the time about where I'm at, that negative is just getting released out in the world. They call it negative energy and stuff. A lot of these things I'd
Mhm.
never heard of before. And it's like, if you've always got this negative, you're always hating this, you're always whatever, then you're going to keep getting more of that. And I didn't want more of that. And so I started thinking to myself in my own thoughts, then if that person didn't want to know, well, okay, I don't need to invade their negative world. I've got my own nice little happy world around me. And it made a difference because then I started getting stronger. I could see better things. Even now, when for the show, I for our listener, I spoke with Anne about my puppy that is still a puppy chasing and attacking things that it shouldn't, like our duck. And it was, I had to have my little time of mourning because I really liked like the duck.
Yeah.
But it's like I can't just let it consume me and just say, okay, that's it. I quit the whole world. This is just too devastating, even though, that thought might rush through there. It's like, no, this is life goes on, even though don't want it to sometimes. But I look at it, it's like, well, okay, now I know what I need to do different next time so it doesn't happen again. Um,
Yep.
and go from there. And it's like, well, you know, one less mouth to feed on the farm, I guess. Find the positive in it. But
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
okay.
It's still, yeah, it's hard, but like you said, you have to
Yeah,
find a way to get through it. And you know, we all deal with
absolutely.
disappointment. And
Oh,
I
sure.
had just a big disappointment. I don't know, about 8 months ago, I was really, really hoping for something that didn't end up working out. And I truly had thought that it was going to be the thing for me. And when it didn't work out, I was really disappointed. And
Right.
so I allowed myself to mope around for a day or so, just to, allow myself,
Process.
yes, to process it. But then what I did different then is like, okay, you've allowed yourself to mope around for a little bit, now get over it. And what can I do if I really want this to become something that I do in the future? What can I do different?
Oh, I
What
like that.
what couldn't I, was there something I didn't do this last time? Just so start thinking about it in a different way. Like if
Yeah,
there's a job you tried for and didn't get, figure out, okay, I didn't get it this time, but don't give up. If it's something you really want, what can I
right.
do to where the next time I try, I do get it? Is there something else you need to study, something else you need to learn? And then do that. But
Yes.
stay positive with it. Allow yourself some time because we all need time to process. And, we all have those thoughts. So deal with them in a positive way. Allow yourself to think them because there's nothing wrong in how you feel. Allow
Right.
yourself to feel the
Yeah.
things. We're all going to feel those things. But then after you've allowed yourself to feel that, okay, what can I do now? And then what
Yes.
positivity can I put out there? Because as you said, if you put negative things out, that's what you're going to receive. But if you put
Yeah.
positive things out into the universe, that's what you'll get more of. And I truly believe that. And so, we're all going to have those days, but just get past them and then think of the next step. What can I do now? Like you said, what
Yeah.
can I do different? So either that doesn't happen again or I get what I want or really am striving for the next time.
Yes.
Yeah,
And it's good to remember that maybe the timing wasn't right. Maybe it
exactly.
just wasn't your time yet. Or maybe there were things in there that may not have been good for you later. So you need to wait until those things get taken care of and then go for it. Um, it's really hard when, like you said, you've been trying so hard for something and it gets there and you're sure you've got it. And then it's like, what do you mean I don't have it? Everything was set. It was all right there. So what do you do now? You look to see what you can do. And if there's really nothing you can do, then you go, okay, this is to be saved for another opportunity. You don't get rid of
Yep.
the thought or what you were after. You kind of like, this is what I like to do in the journal, put in the things in there that you want to save for later. Like I say at nighttime before you go to
Mhm.
bed, take all that stuff out of your head, put it in a journal. There it is. It's right
Yep.
there. You haven't gotten rid of it. You didn't discard it. You're going to give yourself a good night's sleep. When you wake up in the morning, if you want to pick all that and put it back in your brain, go for it. It's up to you, but maybe you've like, oh, well, it's a good thing I took that out because now I know what I need to do with it, and just put back
Mhm.
in there what you want to go for your day. Yeah,
Exactly.
it's just a great way. And a lot of people, I am surprised how many people I've met that do have journals for different things. So you have, here's an idea journal. These are things that I want to try and see what it goes, and you can put it in that one, or this journal is for taking care of the day, or maybe this is for ideas I have for writing. Um, Gosh, I'm gonna have to do a program just on Red Skelton, on the stuff that he talked about. And for those who want to look, it's the Dini Petty show. I think, oh gosh, I think that's it, DINI. She interviews Red Skelton. It's the only interview he gave in his whole life. It's on YouTube, and you can look and see the things that he did every day. It's just incredible. He didn't call them journaling because they didn't really have that term for it, I think, when he was doing it, when he started out doing it. But yeah, just great things to get your day going. Um, and I see that our time is really getting close here. Gosh, we covered so much area. This has been
Yes.
really great. Thank you so much for being here. So, do you have
Thank
some
you.
closing thoughts for our audience?
Mainly, don't give up.
Yeah, I
Just
like
stay
that.
positive because life will throw you some curveballs. It'll throw in some plot twists, and just don't ever give up. The only
Yes.
failure I believe in life is in giving up.
Yeah.
That
Yep.
it's
When you
not
quit.
failure until you quit. Yes, that if
Yeah.
you just don't quit, you keep moving forward, great things can happen, but they won't
Yeah.
if you quit, if you
Yeah.
give up.
And
And
if you
so,
have quit, you can't start
oh,
again.
that's true. Yes, you
Yeah.
can. If you're still here, as I said before,
Yeah.
if you're still here, you still have time. You can still do great things.
Yeah.
And, that's one of the things I learned. And, so just keep moving forward. And, if something's not going right and you feel like you need help, reach out to someone else, whether it's me,
Yes.
you, someone
Yeah.
else.
Find a mentor, find a friend,
Yes,
find a
find
coach.
someone. Yep, someone who, yeah, like I said, even a friend who will listen, but and give you a sounding board, for
Yes.
ideas,
Oh,
thoughts,
yes.
just something. And so that's really, just don't give up. If you're still here, keep going and keep doing great things.
Yes, you can get a hold of me at lskirkpatrick.com. I know it says value in you on the little banner on the bottom, but that's okay. We're still trying to find the value that's in you. We don't have to find it. You've already got value. That's one thing I talk about. Value is not like energy, where you have energy in a bowl and you give it out to everybody else and you have to go fill your bowl up. Your value comes from you. Everything you've done in your life, all the choices you've made, all the ways you've acted or reacted to the choices that other people have made that directly affected you. But that's all you. That's what makes you unique. That's what gives you your worth. And all of that together is what makes you enough. And that is exactly why you matter. So tell your story. Talk to us, find what you want to do. If you don't want to be a storyteller, you don't have to be a storyteller. Everybody has something. And I love it that you can have 100 people do exactly the same thing, but because they're all so unique, they do it their own way. So, and there's plenty of people out there for everybody. I mean, we've got how many billions of people in the world now? 9
Hmm.
billion or something like that. Well, yeah, one person barely can reach 1% of that 9 billion. So, yeah, there's plenty of room for everybody. Just
Yep.
make your own mark in the world and make it a good one. Always believe something wonderful is about to happen. And I talk about, look for that wonderful thing to happen. My granddaughter was here, and so each day we would challenge each other to find something wonderful or amazing in the day. And the other day she called me, she was sick and wasn't able to go to school, and she goes, something wonderful is going to happen, Mima. And I go, it did happen already. And she goes, what? You called me. So look for those wonderful, amazing things and you will find them. You will find them. Thank you, Anne, for being here. You're an amazing, wonderful thing that happened today. And I
Oh, thank you.
appreciate you being here. All right, we'll see you
You.
all next time on Wisdom on the Front Porch.
Thank you for joining us today on Wisdom on the Front Porch with your host, Ellis Kirkpatrick. You can find us on our website, wisdomonthefrontporch.com, see previous episodes of the podcast, and view issues of the magazine. Did you know you can submit questions, leave reviews, or suggest topics? You can also tell us where your favorite front porch location is and what it means to you. We hope you gain value and insight from today's or previous talks. We appreciate your support for us so we can continue to provide value and expertise to you and others. Subscribe to Wisdom on the Front Porch magazine. Join in next week when we bring you another great insight into the world of entrepreneur culture and lifestyle. Make today a great day. Always believe that something wonderful is going to happen.